honesty in his wonder. And there's no reason to doubt, or there hasn't until recently been much reason to doubt, that people believe that's true. We're now getting a few more defectors from North Korea. It's not as hermetic as it used to be. But what they were telling us until recently is, yes, everyone does actually believe the state propaganda.
What about...
So the question was, what if they were to feed their people, would they do better? It doesn't arise. We do that for them. And they couldn't do it if they wanted to, because the only thing that works after a while in a totalitarian system, this happened in Iraq too, the only thing that works, you can't put a Band-Aid on the oil rigs. You can't do a thing about the pumps. You can't do a thing about the generators. But the secret police and the army go on working till the end.
Now, at the beginning of your talk, you gave a very moving description of a man who had suffered torture in Iraq. Here's a question from someone in the audience who'd like you to comment further on the quality of information obtained by torture, and also would like you to consider the confessions obtained from the Bulgarian nurses by the Libyan government, who allegedly infected people with the AIDS virus, injected people with the AIDS virus.
Well, the Bulgarian case, which I've studied a bit, does remind one of inquisitional type tortures, the tortures of Christian Europe, sanctioned by the papacy, where it was just a question of how much can you get people to say. It was sort of a game, you know. Did you, in fact, change yourself into a vixen at the full moon and poison the crops and so forth? Yes, I did. You can make people say that. Are you a hermaphrodite? Yes. That kind of thing. The people who waterboarded me actually at one point said, we can get you to say you're a hermaphrodite if we want. And I realized I don't know how I look to people suddenly. They quite possibly could. But that, of course, is too lenient, is too easy an objection to torture. I mean, there is a big objection to torture, and otherwise there would be no moral problem about it, which is it can get real information. Of course it can. Not for long, I think. I think the well becomes tainted, and I think diminishing returns would be hit quite quickly. But yes, if it didn't produce results, if it didn't get people to loosen their tongues, there would be nothing to object to about it.
Well, one of our audience members would like to follow up on your question, since you mentioned waterboarding. Why did you make the decision to do that?
Well, because I thought that there'd been enough argument on every side of the case about should torture be used, are there exceptions, is it torture anyway, within the real meaning of the act, does it violate the Geneva Convention, and so forth, that was becoming boring. It was becoming a routine argument. And so the only way I could think of breaking into the argument and trying to reopen it was to subject myself to it and say, well, or have myself subjected to it, rather, and see what that taught me, which was actually quite a lot.
So what did your colleagues and family say when you told them that you were going to do that?
Well, they were slightly, I mean, I have to give you the most truthful answer, as I've said to my interrogators. I owe you the best answer I can give you. I'm slightly surprised to get my letter of the night before saying, just in case, here's what I want done. Because I'd had to sign a paper that pointed out to me that you could very easily die from this. Not from drowning, though, by the way, don't believe what they say to you, that it's a regular thing in the New York Times, waterboarding simulates drowning. It doesn't simulate drowning, it is drowning, except in slow motion. It's the real thing. But because of that, you can get a stroke or a seizure or heart attack. And I'm 60 now. So I had to be indemnified against all this. So I thought, well, I'd better make some provision in preparation. So I wrote to Carol and said, just in case. I think she hadn't expected to get that. Nor had I been expecting to send such a message for a Vanity Fair assignment. But there you go. These are strange times.
60 seems like a good age to write a memoir, and in fact, rumor has it that you're at work on one.
Oh,
Is there any juicy stuff that we can look forward
sure.
to? Well, you spend a lot of time traveling to exotic places.
Nice try.
When's it in the works, by the way? When should we look for
It's
it?
in
Kepler's
it's in the
books.
works, all right. It's in the works, all right.
So where are you headed for next? What's next on the travel itinerary?
Poland, which is actually to do with the memoir. I want to go and look at the landscape where my mother's family came from. The sort of howling wilderness wasteland that was once Germany and is now Poland, that border that kept moving so inopportunely and so horribly for so many people. And I've been to Warsaw, but and other parts of Poland, but I, for a long time, didn't know exactly which strip of land my ancestry came from. So I want to go and look at that and see what thoughts are prompted by it.
Well, from Poland, let's hop back across the border to the former Czechoslovakia for a moment. So when you were in Prague, what did they charge you with? Did they plant narcotics in your suitcase like they did to Jacques Derrida, or what did they come up with?
The charge, if they had made it, would have been hooliganism. We were told. Because it sounds so awful. And because it can cover almost anything. But it consisted of attending a meeting in a private apartment and bringing printed materials in there and so forth. But we were told that was what we'd get if we continued to object. In the end, we were just deported, a deportation stamp put in the passport.
In your opinion, would the world be a better place, more peaceful, organized, and civilized if organized religion did not exist?
Yeah. Bien sûr, it would, yes, it would.
And one audience member wants to know, which religion or belief system do you find the least repulsive?
Well, no, it's a good question, because I do say, and I don't just do it to have a provocative subtitle, that religion poisons everything, and people say often when I go and speak or debate on religious sites and campuses and holy territories and so forth. You mean everything? I mean chess,